Welcome back to the Done Deal Show. Lots of news to delve into today regarding transfers at Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Smash the like and the share button. And remember to go and follow us now on Spotify to listen to the top 6 podcasts released twice per week. You can scan that QR code on the screen or click on the link in our description below. But how is everybody today? Let me know where you're watching from around the world, either in the comment section if you're watching the playback or in the live comment section right about now. Now, there are lots of things to delve into today in relation to the stories that are trending. And there's many of them today. There is Victor Osimhen. Chelsea reportedly by The Guardian claiming they are ready to make a bid. You're looking at the situation with Ugarte. The Guardian claiming that Chelsea believe the deal is done. There are reports today that Man United are going to enter the race, and PSG and Man United are willing to offer more wages than Chelsea. We'll be looking at that. Liverpool taking a look at Manu, Kone to bolster up their central midfield options going into the new season. And Arsenal linked with a move for Gnonto, of course, relegated with Leeds, but this young 19-year-old, very exciting prospect, linked with a move to Arsenal today. And of course, Hojlund, the very talented striker at Atalanta, who's had a very good season, 20 years of age, linked with a move to Man United with or without Harry Kane coming in. So lots to, excuse me, talk about today, lots to delve into. Of course, I want your views. I want your opinions. I want your comments. We are going to be opening up the lines as well for you to phone in onto the show this morning to give your opinions, to let us know what you think, let us know what you feel about these said transfers, because that's the most important thing to me. I want to know whether you think the story is credible, that's coming from the media, and also want to talk about the player. How much do you want him? Is there an alternative option? Would it work at your football club? How did your team adjust? That is what the transfer window is all about. For me personally, Terry, you've been hitting the gym. Yes, I've been back to the gym a few times in the last week, back into running. I've got loads of work to do. So I've got to get myself fit again after having this hiatus earlier. It's caused me some problems, but I've got to get back in the gym and start getting myself fit. Morning, Ant. I hope you are very well, my friend. Thank you very much for tuning in. I love how people go fake. You do realize fan channels don't profess like United Stand, AFTV, True Geordie. None of them are sources. They're all just reporting on what the media says. So let's talk about it. Let's not be offensive, and let's enjoy it for what it's worth. Let's enjoy the debate. There we go. Now, I want to start with a situation with Victor Osimhen, because Victor Osimhen, to me, is a very, very interesting deal. Chelsea have Lukaku on their books, but seemingly they don't really want him. They're looking at this option here for this brilliant, dynamic, deadly striker of Napoli, who, look, his name's been on the lips of many people over the course of the past couple of seasons, but this year, probably because Napoli won Serie A, his name and his stock has skyrocketed somewhat. And the report I've reading today is just from The Guardian, who claim that it does not take a footballing genius to suggest Chelsea might want to sign a new striker after struggling for goals over the course of the season. Plus their failed experiment of Lukaku. Maurizio Pochettino is keen to strengthen in that department, having seemingly won the race to sign Manu Ugarte. The Guardian suggests that Chelsea are now ready to sign their Napoli forward Victor Osimhen. That would be a massive statement of intent. So the news that they are getting is that Victor Osimhen is the guy that they may chase. Of course, there's links to Harry Kane because of the Poch connection, but they are going to explore the options of Victor Osimhen. Now, a lot of people will claim that Chelsea are not going to have the money. Chelsea already have too big a squad. We've got to read the news deeper, especially if you're a rival talking about Chelsea. Don't talk on them without doing more research. They are looking to sell between 15 to 18 players this summer. Poch has already identified the people that he wants to leave, and there's a feeling they could raise as much as £250 million for the sale of those individuals. And there's many of them. And somebody sent me a link. I was talking to a journalist last night that sent me a link to a number of these players that could be leaving. For instance, Pulisic, Kovacic, Kante, Ziyech, Koulibaly, Mendy, Aubameyang, Azpilicueta, Hudson-Odoi, Gallagher, Mount, Loftus-Cheek, João Felix, and Zakaria. They won't be staying on. But whether it's raising money through sales or it's a saving of salaries, they think they'll be able to raise around 250 to 280 million pound plus what they've already got. So from my point of view, Football Finance tells me this is affordable for Chelsea if they're able to sell players. And as much as they shouldn't be expanding the size of their squad, if they believe they can shrink it, if they believe that it's plausible, they've got the teams lined up, you've got to look to strengthen the DM area, which they're doing with Ugarte or looking to do with him. Personal terms agreed, deal not complete yet. You then throw a Victor Osimhen into the mix. Plus, with Nkunku coming in, Chelsea is starting to look more dangerous already. A lot of people are saying, but they've got Nkunku. He isn't an out-and-out number 9 striker. Maybe they go with a false 9 option if they don't get the striker thereafter. But I believe there's a world where Osimhen and Christopher Nkunku can work together. Remember, they are not going to be buying João Felix now. So I think that kind of number 10 second striker, I don't really know what people call it now in 2023. There's probably a newfangled name that I'm not aware of. That is going to be where Nkunku plays, and that leaves a big position up ahead of him. We know that Osimhen wants to move to the Premier League. It's just whether or not they can convince him to join a team without Champions League football. That's going to be the big situation surrounding that. Now, staying with Chelsea, what I find really interesting is, and by the way, I don't want to hear any nonsense about Chelsea. No Champions League, no players. I've heard that about Man United about 5 or 6 times in the past decade. They've still signed top-class players. It is a really bad bit of fan banter, a really poor bit of fan banter, and it's just boring now. It's milked, and the terrace ain't about milked, old, dry content. So, yeah, leave that one out. It's boring. Really boring. Do you know what I'm saying? But the situation with Ugarte is interesting because the media have very widely reported that Chelsea have agreed personal terms, that this deal appears to be no problem. They should be able to get this over the line. There are some reports today, and I want to make sure I do these justice by reading them correctly. I'm going to read out what I was sent through this morning. And this reads that Man United have entered the race to sign Manuel Ugarte. They believe in the player's abilities and want to strengthen in that area of the football pitch for the short and the long term. Paris Saint-Germain are also reassessing their personal terms with the player. And it is reported that both Manchester United and PSG could offer more salary than Chelsea are proposing to offer. Now, something about Chelsea that's kind of gone under the radar. Again, rivals don't do their research. They have, even though they've offered these big, long contracts, they've actually shrunk their wage bill. A lot of their new contracts are incentive-based as opposed to big base amounts of salary. PSG and Man United are prepared to offer a bigger base than Chelsea. So PSG and Man United are offering a bigger base than Chelsea to try and land this individual. Now, in my opinion, reading through this story, I feel like, how do I say this in the right way? I think Man United are in third position. Of the 3 big teams in for him, I think it's neck and neck between Chelsea and PSG, which means one of them will come second. I think Man United are in third. As a Man United fan, I'm not getting my hopes up about this deal. As a Man United fan, I'm not, as long as I'm not feeling the deal, I'd love the deal. I just don't see it happening. So I'm not going to hold my breath because I'm going to get pretty blue lips. And I don't need that. So from my point of view, very talented player. I think if Chelsea land him, amazing. If Man United pull this off, as a United fan myself, I'm going to be buzzing. But I think Chelsea, if he's going to go to anybody in the Premier League, I think it's Chelsea right now. Maybe Liverpool come in because they were linked with him before. I don't know. For me, maybe this is the agent trying to get the money up from Chelsea, even though it has been reported they've agreed personal terms. It wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that an agent goes, right, we've agreed, but we're going to throw in a few spanners to the work to try and get maybe a little bit more. This is what everybody does. Clubs always try and lower prices to buy players. Selling clubs always try and lower prices. Agents are always trying to get their players more money. Is that a little bit here of what's going on? An element of showmanship, an element of trying to get a bit more money. Maybe it's to get PSG to increase their offer by throwing another big Premier League team into the mix. It's not even about making Chelsea increase theirs. But I'm just not convinced, personally, that Manchester United can pull off the hijack, as many people are talking about. And I think Ugarte, as I've mentioned, very talented player, very capable player. just don't think personally that a hijack for that player is going to happen. Terry, you've probably never seen Ugarte play in your lifetime. Well, I saw him play against Spurs in the Champions League this year. I see him play against Arsenal in the Europa League this year. And I very much acknowledge on other streams, J Reds. You know, I sometimes I always address some of the negative people because I always wonder what's going on in your lives to feel so angry all the time. And I hope that you find peace, love, and happiness. But for me, I've said it on other streams. I've not watched him play hundreds of games. But what I do when players like this get linked to big English teams is I read about them. So I don't watch highlights on YouTube. I read about them. I read old scouting reports from, say, even 2, 3 years ago. So look what people were saying about a player before they were linked to these big moves. Because what can happen now is Chelsea press might get hold of this and they write scout reports and they kind of big it up more than, make him sound better than he really is, maybe. There's always that potential. So what you do is you read old scouting reports about the future of the player, what the expectations are. You read stories about performances that he's had in a sporting shirt that have no connections to a big transfer move. And you get a real idea of how good a player is or what their potential is. So that is what I tend to do. No one knows everything about all players around the world. It's impossible because nobody studies football to that degree unless you work in it. No fan does, no content creator does. Journalists don't even, to a large degree. And I'm very, very honest about that, my friend. So I would just say, I hope you find some love, peace, and some happiness in your life, my friend. I really, really do. But yeah, I don't personally think it's a deal that's going to happen for Man United. I think Chelsea right now seem to be leading that race. United need to not play Europa League football for another decade, then they won't get ripped off. Maybe that will happen. A few people here asking about the Hojlund news. Well, that was next up for us, and we are going to take more of your comments. The Hojlund news is really, really interesting because there's two different reports that came out yesterday regarding Harry Kane. And the first one suggested that it's going to be very hard to do business. He's very unlikely to leave. He's probably going to stay at Tottenham. Then late yesterday evening, there's a report that states that Harry Kane only wants to join Man United if he leaves and is really open to the move. His agent might start to push for it. Doesn't mean it won't be difficult dealing with Levy, but slightly not contradictory, but different sides of the same coin. What's now being reported is that Man United will turn to Hojlund should they not get Harry Kane in some outlets. But there are others that suggest that the Man United manager wants a established striker now, like a Harry Kane, but also a young and up-and-coming starlet to challenge Kane and be the future. A bit like United are looking at other midfield players that can potentially play in Casemiro's position now and or in the future, because we recognize that you buy 29, 30, 31-year-olds, they can give you great performances for 3 or 4 years. But beyond that, it becomes very, very difficult. So look, these links to Hojlund are expected. He is definitely a player that Manchester United have scouted. He's definitely a player that Man United are interested in. But reading the stories as it stands right now, it's an interest. Man United have made no formal move as far as we can tell and understand as of right now. He's a player on the short list of Manchester United, but it doesn't mean we will go and buy him. Buying him and another number 9 in the same window, I think is very dependent upon who owns Manchester United. I think if the Qataris come in or Sir Jim comes in, they wipe debt and they inject their own money, there is the potential and the budget then to maybe do it. I'd be very surprised if we signed Harry Kane and Hojlund at the same time. That would surprise me massively, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, look, from my point of perspective, very talented player. What did he get this year? 15 goals, 6 or 7 age. I just don't see him and Kane coming this summer at the same time. Man United may decide they can't get Harry Kane and Ben Jacobs and who else? Jamie Jackson spoke about this a few weeks ago. That if Man United can't get their main number 9 striker, they may focus on another area of the pitch and get a massive signing there. So you could potentially see no Kane. So we go big in the midfield area and double up in terms of transfers there, and then go for a cheaper, younger option in Hojlund up front. But to definitely link to Man United, definitely an exciting player, but nothing advanced, as they say, at this moment in time. And as this comment says, Terry, these 2 strikers would cost £180 million. United likes 3 strikers on loan. Yeah, like I said, I very much doubt that both would come in. That's why I said what it is that I said. Enough with the Qataris. You spent nearly 90 million on Anthony. But you're not. See, this is where you're not. Again, you're maybe there's some jealousy there. Maybe there's some frustration and anger with you there. Man United are still highly limited by what we can spend. Even though we did 205 million pounds last season, we still have a limit to that budget because we owe 300 odd million on previous transfers that we're paying via amortization, and we owe 500 million pounds, 600 million pounds in debt to banks. Clearing that gives us clearing all that debt, as an example, would give Man United hundreds of millions of pounds more to spend this year. So there's probably a 200+ million pound budget this summer. But if an owner came in and wiped all our debt, so there was no more interest payments, and cleared all the money we owe to other clubs that's expected this year, and then injects 100 million to 200 million pound of their own cash into the business as well, you may be looking at a budget increase of 350, 400 million, meaning you could buy more people. So I'm very, very sorry to break it to you, but yes, Qatari owners would change things dramatically for Man United. And when I say limited budget, I'm talking limited in terms of being able to get all the targets we want and fill every single hole, both first team and squad at Manchester United. So yeah, limited, not compared to Burnley's budget or Leyton Orient's budget, but in the grand scheme of things, what Man United need, it's going to take a longer time to do that without the debt being cleared. One of the other stories that I thought was very interesting today as well was Gnonto to Arsenal. Now, the reason I say I was interested in this deal, because I like this kid, and I say kid, he's 19 years. He looks a little bit older than 19 years old to me. I think that's because he's got the broadness. He's got the some 19-year-olds look like little boys. This guy's built like a man. So you can sometimes be mistaken for thinking that he's a little bit older, but he isn't. He's 19 years of age, very, very talented indeed. And there's a report out today that states that Arsenal are looking at a potential bid for him, and they believe they can pick him up quite cheaply. So looking at that, for me, I think would be a very, very interesting piece of business. The article here states that Arsenal are a swoop on Leeds forward Wilfried Gnonto. It says DRB might not be the only forward of interest to Arsenal this summer. Firepower appears to be on the cards for Mikel Arteta this summer, and a relegated Premier League star is now thought to be of interest. Leeds and the Italian winger Gnonto is, according to a number of sources, under major consideration this year, and Arsenal are looking at a potential bid. And I think that you add Gnonto to that list of players that Arsenal were looking at in those wide positions. We have seen Zaha's name mentioned in recent weeks. We have seen Rafinha's name mentioned. Now Gnonto's name is mentioned. Neto will probably be revisited at some point as well. And Arsenal are going to continue to be linked to a number of these inside forwards and forwards because Arsenal do need more firepower. However, Arsenal are going to, I think, not bide their time per se, but they have to look at what midfield options they're going to get and then how much budget is remaining. They're looking at between 180 and 250, depending on what outlets you read. And that'll probably change depending on who they sell and how much money they raise. So you can't go out and buy Rafinha for 80 million pounds because you might eat too much of your budget to not be able to fix the midfield areas that you're going to have to throw money into. So I think they're going to fix their midfield area first and then look towards these inside forwards. But it does appear that Gnonto's on that list. And I think, you know what, if you can pick up Gnonto for 25, 30 million in 2023, 19 years of age, amazing skill, can go on the inside and the outside. There's so much rawness about him with so much potential and upside. It could be a very, very good deal. The price is going to be key, though. It's, how much bang are you getting for your buck is what I think needs to be the focus there of Arsenal. Look, I rate the kid. I think he's very, very talented. He tore up Old Trafford on that left-hand side a few months ago, and I've seen him be really a real thorn in the side of many teams in the Prem. But of course, he was playing for Leeds, who had terrible managers, awful structure, and I don't feel sorry for him because he's a professional footballer living his dream. But I think under Mikel Arteta, a much better system, better players around him, there could be a real superstar in the making there. And at 19 years of age, if you can pick him up relatively cheap, you look at what most young, it's an international here, full Italian international at 19. It's normally going to cost you a hell of a lot of money, but you may be able to get him cheaply off Leeds due to them being relegated. So I think it's definitely something, excuse me, that Arsenal should be looking at doing. But I do want to get your take on that. Make sure like buttons are being hit, by the way. Hit the like and the share button. Another Saka. I mean, are you saying that as a positive or are you saying that as an insult? Because that reads as a massive positive. If you have two Sakas either side in your team, yeah, you're going places. You're genuinely going places. He is the perfect Saka backup, is what H. Cole says. And maybe that's what it is. You know, he's not starting over Martinelli, but that's not the point, is it? Martinelli may be better than him, but what a great player to add to your squad. And I think that Gnonto would go in with the desire to be the number one in that position on the left. And that's what you want. You want that challenge. You want people going in there and trying to better themselves and to raise their levels. So, you know, imagine saying, there's no point signing somebody because they may not start in your team. There's no point in Julian Alvarez going to Man City because he was never going to start over Haaland, who we all knew they were going to buy the following summer after getting him. Don't sign him. What's the point? You know, it makes no sense. You know, competition for places is key. And if I say this to you, Maradon, if the player has that mentality of, oh, I won't start, I'm not going to go, then he's not right for Arsenal. He's not right for Man United. He's not right for Liverpool. You don't want players thinking I'm just here to ride bench. Not when they're 19. Fair enough. You're buying someone at 31 years of age to plug some holes. They might be up for a bit of rotation. Not at 19. Come on, you got to have a better mentality. Imagine having, I can't imagine going through life, having that poor a mentality, Maradon. Very, very poor. Very, very poor mentality indeed. Thank you, Luke Skywalker. Yes, everyone, make sure like buttons are being smashed. If we hit 850 likes while we're live, I'm going to gift out 53 memberships to you all today on the terrace. So make sure they're being hit 850 and we'll be gifting that to you. I see why. Was this comment gone? I can't see it now. It's disappeared. I hate when it does this. You have a comment ready to. There you go. I see why we are going for Gnonto. We need players Champions League. I don't see why, but we need players Champions League ready. Look, Harry, I think that's a fair challenge. I think it's a fair challenge. And you are looking at some players that are Champions League ready. But there are more than one way to skin a cat. I remember Arsenal getting battered by the media for signing Ben White. And I think he's been an exceptional signing for you. I think he really has been exceptional. So, yeah, from my point of view, not all of your signings this summer are going to be for the here and now either. They're going to partly be for the future. So that's the way. It's like Man United looking at Hojlund. That isn't just about now; it's about the future as well. You know, I know like the Lee Gunner has this. Everything's got to be done for the here and now, and I hear a lot of people say that about life. They go, "You got to live for the moment. You might not be here tomorrow." Yeah, but you got to plan for the future. Because if I just live for the moment, like I'm about to, because I could die tomorrow, but then I don't, and I live for another 50 years, but I spend everything I got, I never invest, I never plan for the future, my future is going to be bleak. You have to get the balance right in life. And I think that's what's really missing today in football conversations, society at large, balance. It seems to have disappeared massively. It really, really has disappeared. Would I take Joel Matip at United? No, because he's Liverpool. And I'm very traditional in that sense. I don't want any City players, any Liverpool players anywhere near my club. Not even if they're world class. There's a principle, and you don't break. If you start breaking those principles and rivalries, football's over. Game's gone. Simple as that for me. Simple as that. In other news today that I want to talk to you about as well, before we open up and start taking calls, Manu Kone to Liverpool. Again, I'm going to be very, very honest. I don't know too much about this individual on a personal level in terms of how good he is. He's not a player that I've seen plays trade like I have with others. So I'm going to be really, really honest about that and not try and pretend. But a lot of Liverpool fans have been talking about this deal today. 22 years of age, midfielder, DM, highly touted. I've read some scouting reports on him today. Very, very well regarded. What do you all think? And this is where I'm asking your opinions more than going to sit here and give you mine, because I'm not going to profess to be an expert on somebody. I've only read 2 scouting reports on him and I've never seen him play. So I am in a situation where I'm not going to sit there and give a full and frank opinion on him. With Ugarte, I've seen him play 4 or 5 times and read a lot more. With this guy, not so much. So I'd love to get your views and your opinions. King here said that he is a baller. Gabrielle says future talent. Ali said he's a baller as well. In terms of price, there's not much that's been written about the potential price that he could go for. And what I read here this morning, and I read it to you, is 40 to 45 million pound is what the French media is claiming. Of course, he's a French player playing at Borussia Mönchengladbach. But they say around 40 to 45 million. And that could represent some, if he's as good as you all are saying he is, that looks like very good value for money for me. But yeah, they're actually YouTube scout settings. Yeah, don't look at YouTube comps per se. Read real scouting reports and try and look at some that are backdated at least 12 months before the links to your club or before the hype starts. And then you really get a good understanding of how good a player could become. And when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, it is nearly all about potential. Every now and then you get a player that young, like a Haaland, who's delivering, and Mbappe that are delivering at the world-class level straight away. But most players are still finding their feet and discovering themselves as footballers at that point. But look, I want your views. I want your opinions. We're going to share the link now if you want to call in and have your say. But a recap on the stories that we've spoken about today. Chelsea ready to sign Victor Osimhen is the report from The Guardian today, with the deal for Ugarte potentially at risk of being hijacked by Manchester United, who are also looking at Hojlund from Atalanta as an alternative to Harry Kane should that deal not get done. We're also talking Gnonto to Arsenal and Manu Kone to Liverpool as well. All these deals right now, trending stories from verified outlets and journalists right across the spectrum of Europe and South America as well, of course, with Ugarte being Uruguayan as an example. I want your views. I want your opinions. I want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel. I want to know your opinions on all of this because, as I say, your opinions matter more than anything else. I'm going to share that link now for you to call in and to have your say. That into the live comment section for you. I'm actually going to pin it as well. I'm going to replace the pinned comment so you guys can come on and have your say. Terry, the problem for Liverpool is we won't have enough English players in the squad to stay within the rules, which is why someone like JWP, okay, Ward Prowse, I see coming. Listen, I rate Ward Prowse. Where I'll rate him is a conversation that triggers a lot of people. I sort of see him as a very good squad player at a club like Liverpool, a club like Man United. I think he's comfortable on the ball, got a good engine, the best free kick taker in Europe, in my opinion. Great set pieces, great on corners. You know, for those, if you look at him as a Liverpool player, those League Cup games, those FA Cup games, you know, those Europa League games, you know, coming on for the last 20, 30 minutes of games, starting against the bottom 5, bottom 6, bottom 7 teams. There's a player in there. Surrounded by the quality Liverpool have, there's a player in there, you know. If you buy him to be the main centerpiece of a midfield in a title challenge, meh, you're going to fail. But you need players like Ward Prowse are needed. I don't think that's bad. I don't know enough about this Kone. If you sign McAllister and Kone and Ward Prowse, I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's bad. I really, really don't. Terry, there are links to Thuram at Nice as well. Yes, I did see those links. Now, he's a player I'm a little bit more familiar with. Very, very talented. There's links to a lot of players for Liverpool. There certainly is. I think Liverpool can have a fairly big summer. I really do. I started watching football back in 09-10, having been a fan of the NBA, NFL, and loved the short turnaround between seasons, but also felt it's too short for players and their recovery compared to the NBA. I don't watch American sports. I don't really understand it. I don't even know how long the seasons run for. I don't follow it. I catch games every now and then when they're getting hyped up. I watch a little bit of NFL, but thank you for the super chat. But for me, it's an impossible thing for me to comment on because I just don't follow those sports with any great attention. And I certainly don't know. I do believe like the NFL off season, what is it, about 5 months or something? Because the Super Bowl happens in like February, doesn't it? February, March. And they don't start playing again until like September. So yeah, the much bigger gap. But I know like in baseball, they play more regularly though. I think in ice hockey as well. Like they can sometimes play 3 or 4 games a week. Or I might be tripping when I say that. But yeah, I'm not going to profess to be an expert on that because I am not my friend. But thank you very, very much for the super chat. This year says, Terry, it's a good idea to get Hojlund this year and sign Harry Kane on a free transfer next? Idealistically, I'd like to do both this season. That would be my personal preference. At the same time, yeah, listen, that could be the way around Man United want to do it. But you've got to remember one thing. Man United have got to keep winning whilst building. You've got to keep winning while building. And getting Harry Kane this year and Hojlund next year, in my opinion, puts us closer to winning the Premier League title than the other way around. And that might cost us an extra 100 million. But if Man United win 2 more trophies next year and challenge for the Premier League title, that 100 million pound investment could be, in my opinion, would be worth it. Getting Harry Kane integrated a year earlier. Who knows what we might win with him? I'm prepared to take that risk on a player that good. Monetary-wise, yes, it makes far more sense to get him on a free a year later and sign Hojlund this year. However, people are going to say I'm crazy. I want to win the Premier League next year. You're not going to do that without a striker like Harry Kane in your team. You're going to need a striker like Harry Kane in your team to do it. And City are still the outright favourites. They're going to be very difficult to beat. But people keep telling me you're going to need 95, 96, 97, 100 points to win the league. This is a fallacy. This is a fallacy. The average points total to win the league in the past 3 seasons is 89 points. The average is 89 points over the last 3 years. The high 90s, the high 90s haven't been done now by City for 4 years. The Centurions was 6 years ago. They may do that again next year, but the trajectory and the recent history suggests no. So I believe Man United can get high 80s, low 90 points next season with a Harry Kane. Can we do it with Hojlund? Maybe. But I think there's more chance with Harry Kane, and we've got to go for that. We absolutely have to try and win the league next year. Long time no see, Billy T. That rhyme there, that could be a bar, you know. Long time no see, Billy T. Do you like that? Oh, if I was a rapper. We need to sign 2 strikers, Terry, with Martial, Veghorst leaving, needs squad depth. I agree with that. That's what I said. I would like both. I don't know if the budget will spread that thin, but I would personally like both. I 110% agree with you on that. Levy is going to hold him hostage, Terry. Yeah, look, I understand that. And I think that's why maybe we will have to search elsewhere. But if we can get him, but this is the thing, it's such a fine balance, and it does sound contradictory. I'm willing to put the 100 million in. You start moving towards 120s, 130s, and then that eats into you filling other holes. And then you end up cheating the process. And I know people don't like the word process, but there is a process to rebuilding a squad, and you need to be mindful. Man United have to, again, I don't want us to waste money. I want us to invest correctly. And it's getting that balance right. And you never know until afterwards whether the balance is right or not. Say we drop 130 on Harry Kane and he scores the goals to win us the league. No one's going to care we paid 130 million pounds for him. So, look, hindsight's lucrative in this, but I just don't want us, like I said with Neymar last night, I don't want us buying Neymar and then you miss out on 2 or 3 other positions in your team. And over the course of the year, those holes cost you a league title. Those holes cost you a good run in the Champions League. You have to be mindful about it. But I'd go up to 100 million for Harry Kane personally, because I still think that would leave us enough to get the goalkeeper, the centre-backs, the midfielders we definitely need. Because Harry Kane alone isn't enough. He isn't enough, in my opinion, to win the league next year. Football, not soccer. I agree with you on that. What is this here? Aston Villa on with no debt already spend 150 million. There we go. Thank you very, very much. Keep your comments coming in. Keep the like buttons being hit as well, by the way, people. We're going to give away some free memberships if we hit 850 likes whilst being on the show. We're talking Osimhen to Chelsea. We're talking Ugarte. We're talking Hojlund. Kone, Gnonto to Arsenal. We're taking your calls as well on the show. First up, who's going to have a little chat with us today is going to be man like Pav, who's a Man United fan. Pav, welcome back to the show, mate. How are you?
Morning, Terry, man. I'm good. It's already started, hasn't it? Like, we're being linked to every Dick, Tom and Harry at the minute. I think some of them are more, we're just being put with some of the players just to, like, gain more traction for them. Like Rice, I don't believe we're going to get Rice, especially for the money that they're talking about. And even Ugarte, I don't believe we're actually in for that guy. I'll be honest, I never heard of this guy. I even watched the Tottenham and Arsenal game when they played against Sporting, and I don't even remember this kid. So it just shows how maybe less of player he was at the time. I don't know what the whole issue is. Like, everyone thinks he's apparently a really good player, but I've not heard a single thing about this guy up until the last week or so. But I want Kane. I flip-flopped from Osimhen to Kane, and I really wanted Osimhen maybe 2 months ago, until I was like, I remember one of your streams, you were saying, like, it doesn't matter about the money, especially if we get new owners, because if we need another striker in a year or two, they should go out and get one. But for me, I really want Kane. It's not just because of the striker aspect, the fact that he creates a lot as well for the wingers. Having someone like Rashford and Antony in our team, when you've got Kane, there's a lot of space that them two players can run behind. And I think we could create more chances with a player like Kane. I wouldn't mind a Hojlund, because we do need two strikers. I just have the feeling that if the club are going to go for Kane, I don't think they'll buy a second striker. And that's where I think that this whole stuff with Mason comes in, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff about that guy again. And it's like, if these clowns actually do that, I swear down. But I really do want Kane. Hojlund as well, if they've got enough money to bring him in. He's only like 20 years old. I'm sure he'll be happy to get game time, because he will get game time. We'll be in 4 competitions. There'll be game time for a player like Hojlund. Even, I don't know, he hasn't been linked yet, but he was a few months ago. Benjamin Sesko, I think he's had a decent finish to his league in the Austrian league. He's going to Leipzig in the summer, but I'm sure there was talks about, say, I know what they pay, something like 30 mil. They were willing to let him go if another club come in the summer, something like 70, 80. But like I said, them transfers, even for Hojlund, they're talking about 60 mil plus. But it all depends on what we can spend, because we do need another 2 centre mids, in my opinion. Fred looks likely to go. There was obviously all that stuff with the Fulham manager after the game, and they were talking about him going to Fulham. McTominay's not here. He's got to go. And obviously I want Kim Min-jae as well. Hopefully as soon as that week comes where his clause is active, the board have got everything in position to do that deal, because Newcastle, they'll be going big this year, and they're not, the way they're moving at the minute, they're getting stuff done quick. Like, especially in the summer that went past, they got stuff done quick. Yeah. I don't know if they'll get a fullback, but I want a fullback as well. There's a lot of places that need replacing. It just depends on how much money we got.
Pav, and I think that's the point you make there. We do need 2 new strikers or attackers. We do need 2 new midfielders. We need a new centre back. We need a new fullback. We need a new goalkeeper. The point is, unless we get new owners that clear all of our debt and inject the maximum amount of cash possible owners can, we are not doing that all in this one summer, which is why when we go back to last year, when Ten Hag was employed, it was going to take 3 summers to build his team, because there's no way you're buying with the Glazers you're never going to build a squad over 2 seasons across all 4 windows, including January. There's never the money there for it, because of the 300 million we owe to other clubs already. The debt that we're paying at the moment, which is about 60, 70 million pound a year in interest payments, as an example, there just isn't the money to be spread that far. So it's limited in terms of that. So if we get the new owners, that's doable. If it isn't, then it will probably be 1 striker, a midfielder, a centre back, there'll probably be 4 or 5 signings.
I've even seen this morning Onana from Inter linked to us as a goalkeeper as well. There's a report there. Some of the United accounts on Twitter are posting that, but I think that guy's pretty old, so I don't know why we do that deal. But I don't with the ownership. I think that will probably kick off straight after the FA Cup, because seems like everyone's just reporting the same thing on that. There's been no movement on it for the past week. Everyone's been quiet on it, and
there hasn't been any movement. That's why they've been quiet. And I think you're right. After our final game of the season, you may see it start to motor forward a little bit more. Pav, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, man.
Catch you again soon. Top man. Next on the show, by the way, if you're in the back, let me know in the private chat section who support, just so I can kind of do it in order as we mix up the teams. I don't want it to be like United, or loads of, I'll try and mix it up a little bit. We've got Chelsea fan next, Ed, on the show with us. How you doing, Ed?
Yeah, how are you, Toma?
I'm very well. You're linked with Victor Osimhen today. Talk to me.
Yeah, look, it's promising. I think that the deal's obviously going to be really expensive. I don't know what De Laurentiis is going to want. I saw 130 mil the other week. I think that's just way too much money considering we've got to sell to buy, and we need to get a DM and a goalkeeper first. I think. Yeah. Osimhen and Kane for me are the two world-class strikers that are available on the market. There are obviously others like Vlahovic,
why would you go DM and goalkeeper first and not the goals that you need? What's your rationale behind that, mate?
Oh no, for me, we need to get all three. I think if we're going to compete in the top four next season, because you see time and time again this season in the transition, like on counter-attacks, we're just so exposed. And I think that's really mainly because we don't have a DM, and why we are better as a back five than a back four over the past 2 seasons, really. So. And then goalkeeper as well. I mean, as well as Kepa's been good this season, he does have mistakes in him. And
mate, I agree. And I think that if you guys went and got Onana as an example, or you got Costa, and you sign this Ugarte that's highly regarded, and you go and get Victor Osimhen with Nkunku coming in, you clear out all that deadwood and trash with Poch as your manager. I just don't see why you're not challenging for the top 4 next year. And I just don't see why within 18 months or 2 years, you're not going to be one of the top teams in England again. In terms of playing football, scoring goals, winning games, the question mark's still over Poch, whether he can get you over the line. And that's fair because he's never won a big league. He's never won a Champions League. So the question mark's there. But I don't think the future for Chelsea looks as bleak as some people are making out, you know.
Yeah. Can I just say that if we miss out on Osimhen, which I think is a high possibility, I think we go for Vlahovic, but loan by option, just because I think the deal is a bit of a high risk. I think he's only got 14 goals in 41 games this season, and I think next summer the striker market looks a lot better. You know, Ivan Toney will probably be back from his ban. I would love him at Chelsea. Victor Osimhen will have 1 year left on his contract, then might be available at a cheaper price. So I think that's probably going to be the best option if we don't get Osimhen.
It could be. Ed, great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, bro. And we'll chat again soon. Top man. Thank you. Jay's on next. Jay's an Arsenal fan. What you saying, mate?
Yeah, I'm just talking about the Rice deal, and the people making that saying that they made a phone call to the Bayern Munich manager. One is against Premiership rules, isn't it? To be in contact with a player while he's still under contract. Plus the Rice value of 110 to 120. I don't think Arsenal go in for him at that price. I reckon Arsenal go to about 95 million, and I can't see him going above that. So then Caicedo comes in. We've done the groundwork with him. We've got the agreed personal terms, and I think that 80 to 85 million is right in Arsenal's budget. But I just don't see Arsenal going in for Rice over the £100 million mark. I can't see it personally. I mean, we need 2 midfielders. If Xhaka goes, we need a centre back to replace Saliba, and we need a right-sided player for Saka. And if we get these players, we need them of the same level or higher than the players that we've already got. We're not looking to buy squad players. To bridge that gap, we have to buy at Man City level type of players. You're not going to bridge the gap shopping in the lower market, i.e. 20 to 35 million. You have to buy the players at the level at which Man City buy. If you're talking about bridging that gap, I don't care. Oh, what about Saka? What about Martinelli? You have to fight for your position. And Arteta, he has to be ruthless. You can't have this loyalty or sentiment that Arsene Wenger had, because that's what got him the sack in the end, because he was too low to players that kept on letting him down week in, week out. And then when he did sell his top players, he never bought at the same level. He bought at the level below. So if you keep on doing that, you end up in 5th, 6th, 8th position.
So you when you're linked with the likes of Gnonto today, are you just saying no, too lower level? You need to be going after already established top players.
Yes, to bridge that gap, to be challenging next season. we need to be buying at the level that Man City are buying. You can't sugarcoat it no more. The process is over. You need to be buying at that level if you want to go and win the league next season. I mean, to buy these younger players, I think we've already got enough of them. We need to be going in and buying at the level and buying 90% of the recruitment, Premiership proven, and ideally from the Premiership. Because Arsenal can't afford to be buying players now where we are to be waiting 1 or 2 years. With players that you buy from the Premiership, they know the surroundings. They know what it's about. There's no bedding in period. So when you're buying the Rices, the Cancedos, i.e. the Cancelos, which some people are for, some people are against. But for me, if you can get him for 35, 40 million, he covers you left back and right back. With Arsenal, they can't be talking this talk. They kind of got to walk the walk now. We have to be on from the previous season.
I hear you completely with the notion of the process is over. Of course, you're always going to buy and sell players every year, but Arsenal are in that position now where it, like, just the same as Liverpool, it's you challenge or you foul. That's essentially it now. You're either challenging for that league title every season or you're failing. And it's good to hear an Arsenal fan say that, my friend Jay. Appreciate the call, mate. And I'm loving that traditional, isn't it, an accent as well, bruv. Love it.
No problem, mate. No problem.
Top man, top man. I said the Cockney accent's dying out. It really, really is. Kai is here with us. Kai's a big Chelsea fan. How you doing, bro?
Yo, Terry, it's been a minute, man. How are you?
I know. I in fairness, I know you wrote what team you support. I know who you support. I can tell by your Avi in your name. I know you're long enough.
Yeah.
You're linked with Osimhen. You're linked with Ugarte. A lot of the players I know you dislike are on the chopping block to leave. How excited are you about the future of Chelsea?
I'm excited, man. I've been a huge advocate for getting the Havertzes, the Mounts, all these players that got too comfortable sitting at 9th and 12th for Chelsea Football Club, and I felt like we accepted those players as the standards. There's a lot of people who I like to call them, like the ones who love the TikTokers. Like for me, you and I both agree that Mount is not a starter level football player. Like he's not like where Chelsea should look at if they want to compete for the best honors. I'm happy that we're kind of ripping that squad apart, because that squad really disappointed me for the last 3 years. Like honestly, I'm at the point where I just want a complete rebuild. I'm willing to sacrifice Kovacic as much as I love that guy. I said if he doesn't want to be here, he can join the rest of them. I wish other grown men in the Chelsea fan base would finally accept that their players are not really at the standard that we should be looking at. And when your team is at 9th, at 12th in the last 3 years, you have to be objective and look and think, okay, we do need to do something here. And I'm glad the club are doing it. Is Pochettino the right choice? We'll have to see. But I'm happy with the signings. Ugarte is a very good DM. We needed one for a while. I'm glad that we're not looking at Rice, because for me, for the price, is a bit. We could get 1 or 2 players. And Osimhen is very good. He has pace. He's good off the ball. So I'm excited. But it's all theory. It's all theory, Terry. Especially in football. Let us sign them, and then we'll see.
Yeah. As you say, hindsight is lucrative. When you might, everyone's raving about Osimhen. He could come to the Prem and he could be the new Didier Drogba. He could be a Thierry Henry. He could be a Harry Kane. But he could also be a Vegas. You never know. He won't be that bad. I'm sure he won't be that bad, my friend. And I get what you're saying about Mount. I look at Mount very much as, if Man United buy him, as the 5th signing of a very powerful, like a very 4 brilliant signings, and then you add Mount into the squad player. I'm relaxed about that. We're talking about 70, 80 million, and Mount being our main midfielder that we purchased this summer. I've got a genuine concern about that. It's insanity. It would be crazy to me, in my view. Kai, always a pleasure to speak, mate, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you very much indeed. Next on the show with me today, we've got Adrian. Adrian's a Man United fan. What are you saying, bro?
Hey, first of all, I think we need Harry Kane. No delays. Of course, Daniel Levy wants to string us up for more than 100 million, or not even make a deal with us because he's a big rival player. But then we don't need Hojlund. We need Harry Kane. He's 29 years old, 100 million. He's good for the goals. The numbers speak for itself. He's what we need. Forget the midfielders. We've got Scott McTominay. Everybody speaks very down on him and all that, but then I think McTominay deserves a chance. Bringing in Casemiro really pushed him to the side, and nobody really took note of what Scott has done in the last few years. But then I think in the midfield areas, like we definitely need somebody. But then at the moment, let's focus on Harry Kane. Forget the money, forget the age, look at the goals. Any game will tell you Harry Kane is what we need. Hojlund is for the future, like you said. But then we've also got Greenwood. Like I heard some chatter about him coming back, maybe. That wouldn't be bad. I think Greenwood has got goals in him. He's young. He's like 20. And if we can maybe hold on to him maybe till the winter transfer window, and then maybe get someone else, that would be a bad deal. But first of all,
are you not worried about the other side of Greenwood though, in terms of allowing him back in the team after what he did to his girlfriend, in terms of just the moral standing around letting, we all seen the pictures, we've all heard the voice note. Yes, he would score goals potentially, but is that worth sort of the damage to the club, the fan base, and everything else, allowing him to come back?
Yeah, on that one, he's young. Like I said, he's 20, 19. He made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. But then let's not forget the talent. Of course, there's going to be a lot of backlash from fans, as well from the women team. We love them. But then I think give him another chance. Because what's the point in shipping him out to AC Milan, and then he goes out there and then he scores like 15 goals that we could have had along the season. I'm not saying that he should play every game, but then if we get Harry Kane, then Harry Kane is our number 9, is our starter. Then we've got FA Cup games, we've got Champions League games, maybe against lower level teams. Maybe we'll probably get some team like Sparta, who knows? Those are the games you throw in like Greenwood. And not to say that what he did was right or wrong. Who are we to judge? Of course, there is evidence on about what he did, but then I think he's a human being. He still has a lot to offer in football, and we can't just write him out. I think there was talk about him going on an interview and trying to set things straight. If he can do that, and hopefully the fan base accept that and allow him back slowly into the team, then we've got a good player on our hands. Not only for the right side where Anthony is, but I mean, like, he can be a backup to Harry Kane. Because I mean, we can't be spending another 40 million on Hojlund, yet Harry Kane has got 100 million price tag on his head. That's too much money at the moment, because we need Kim. I'm definitely sure we need Kim, because look at the injuries we had to Varane and to Martinez towards the end of the season. Then we need someone with experience, like winning Serie A with Napoli. That shows that after one season from Fenerbahce, he's somebody who has excelled, 26 years old. We need a center back, and I'm for him. And it's probably going to cost maybe 30 to 40 million. And then bringing in also Hojlund. Hojlund is young, is good, but he won't be ready for the English league. That's not Italian league. That's not the Bundesliga. English league is high intensity football, and we need somebody who's already experienced. Even like I heard somebody speaking of Onana. Onana is a much better player as compared to Adrien Rabiot. Rabiot is playing in Italian Serie A, but then he's not going to give us what we need from him, like from the start. He's going to need time to settle in. Onana has done that with Everton. He knows the English league. We need that kind. We need that experience already, because Champions League is going to be demanding. English league is going to be demanding, because we've got Arsenal to compete.
I hear what you're saying about the demanding nature of the league. Look, Adrian, I appreciate your call and giving us your opinions today. Even though I think the Greenwood one's going to be very controversial with the viewers and listeners. But we'll chat again soon. Top call. Thank you very much indeed. Listen, I'm not in agreement about the Mason Greenwood stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I want to see him. I don't want to see him in a Man United shirt. I've not seen or heard anything that's changed my mind since the charges were dropped. I appreciate, Adrian's got a different point of view, and we allow that to be aired on the football terrace. Just not convinced myself personally. 100 million gets you Lautaro Martinez plus Hojlund. Look, Lautaro Martinez is good, but he is not Harry Kane's level. Harry Kane is a level above him. Is a level above that man. With all due respect, he's an absolute level and a bit above him. So I get where you're coming from. But again, as I say, for me, We've got to get Harry Kane. I agree with both him and Pav. And I'm glad that Pav, I know you're listening still, mate, has woken up to what I've been saying. Not because of me, but I think he sees it the way I do. I think on counterattacks, Victor Osimhen is going to be better, faster, quicker, more powerful, more athleticism in him. But can he get the ball on the half turn with Rashford and Sancho and Anthony and Garnacho, with Bruno running in from wide positions, from midfield positions, and find those pinpoint balls to bring him into the game? As people talk about, well, how long can Harry Kane play as a number 9 for at his age? Yeah, maybe he's only got 3 or 4 years left being an out-and-out number 9 off someone's shoulder, which he's still very good at. But that man could drop in and play as a secondary striker as his career starts, as his physicality starts to wane. That man's ability is going to give him many more years in football. So he'll be an asset for Man United for 5 or 6 years. 5 or 6 years at the highest level, Harry Kane is going to score and create you goals. So if there's a choice, I'm picking Harry Kane every single day of the week. I truly am. And that's no disrespect to Osimhen. I think he's amazing. But Harry Kane, if this guy had proper trophies behind his name, we'd be looking at one of the best strikers in the last 30 years in world football. But he just doesn't have those trophies to his name. I think coming to Man United, he helps us win the trophies, and I believe he'll get those trophies on his CV as well. KJ, you coming on? Or are you just backstage listening? I don't even know with KJ. No, he's not. Agreed, Terry. Thank you, the Gooner. I appreciate what you're saying there, my friend. We have got a special treat for you now. Legend of fan cams is with us. Man like Andy Tate is coming on the show now to have his say. How you doing, bro?
I'm okay, my friend. How are you?
I can't complain. Kind of excited, kind of nervous about about the final on Saturday, but yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm quite concerned for Saturday after losing Martial last night.
In terms of this summer's window, where do you see, where are the key areas, in your opinion, that Man United need to strengthen?
Definitely striker, another midfielder, and possibly a defender.
And how much is Harry Kane the guy? Do you think that's where United need to put their focus and attention, or do you see somebody else being the right fit for the club?
It's all a question of money, innit? Daniel Levy holds all the cards, but if you're Daniel Levy, you're going to let him walk away for nothing?
No. I mean, that's a crazy thing. They keep him for 1 more year. What does it really do for Tottenham? They're still not going to win anything, and then they lose £100 million. It just doesn't make any. I know they're saying he's going to be hard and resolute, but I just don't see the logic in keeping Harry Kane and letting him leave for free. It makes no sense to me.
Oh, that's all about money, innit? So I don't know what's going to happen this year with the takeover as well. Are we limited to buy, sell, or are we going to get a war chest?
Yeah, that's it. What's your thoughts on the takeover? Do you think it's going to be Sir Jim, or do you think the Qataris will pull it off?
I hope the Qataris pull it off. I do not trust Sir Jim Ineos. In August, I was all for him, but he basically has made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, a lot of Reds will agree with that. And the biggest issue for me is not even the Glazers staying. It's there's no certainty around what happens with the debt. Will Man United have to pay any of it? Because if the debt remains, we're in the same bloody situation that we're in with the Glazers. That hampers us so much. We should be able to. We already spend a lot, but that's 50, 60, 70 million a year. That's eaten up. That money should be used to improve training facilities, training grounds, the women's team, the stadia, and it's not. And it's not just about the playing team. It's about that. And yeah, that element, I'm not too convinced on as well. In terms of this weekend, what's your prediction? What are you going with?
I think it's going all the way like Brighton. Yeah, I've just got this gut feeling it's going to go all the way.
The penalties. We'll see. Andy, always a pleasure to speak to you, mate, and we'll chat again soon, brother. Cheers, my man. Thank you very much indeed. think there was a bit of a delay there. It's like I was talking to somebody in Australia. You know, when you watch TV shows and someone's in Australia and it takes about 30 seconds to hear back what they've got to say. But there we go. This here says, it's horrible. I really don't want Man United to win the FA Cup. I really don't want City winning, both because of free people, because the free P, if United win, TT will be 13th time. Oh, 13th time, one less than Arsenal. Right, yeah, catching Arsenal's yeah, listen, I get it. Do you know what, as well, though, with Arsenal fans, like, City are really closing in quickly on your total trophy haul. I think they're only about 5 trophies behind you now in terms of excluding Community Shields. So again, they win 2 more trophies, they're going to be like 3 behind you. That means within a few years, they have more trophies than Arsenal. And again, we measure the size of clubs based on their trophy haul, right? So yeah, it's listen, City are closing in on everybody and surpassing everybody with their trophy hauls right now. So yeah, it's a crazy one. Terry, any news on Maddison or Tielemans? There's nothing concrete at all. There's talk of Spurs looking at Maddison and Harvey Barnes. Nothing on Uri Tielemans right now, but I'm sure stuff will come up. We're going to have Ben Jacobs on the show tomorrow morning at 11. And then from next week, Dean Jones is returning to the Football Terrace as well. So I'm sure they will have, updates on those deals and situations for us. United can buy Vlahovic, Mason Mount, Kudus, Kim. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't want I wouldn't mind Vlahovic. He's not my number one choice. By the time Kane gets up front, the ball gets played back into Spurs' half, and he's still got 30 goals. He's still got 30 goals. It's crazy. Still. I'm not even an Arsenal fan, but no chance City ever a bigger club. Look, they may not have as many fans. And that's the one thing I think Arsenal and other teams also got more fans than you, big stadium than you, got more fans around the world. But I would rather have less fans and more trophies, because in the cold, hard light of day, it's about winning trophies. And that's why this year, when everybody was like begging for Arsenal not to lose, to not win because their fans are unbearable, I'm sitting there looking at City winning trophies and achieving genuine legacy within the game that matches and is catching up with my club. They're nowhere near us they're not near us yet in terms of total trophy haul. I think they're about 20 odd trophies behind. But if we don't buck our ideas up and they keep winning like this, they'll catch 10, 15 years. So I'm more focused on that than I am banter, if that makes sense. Banter's good and fun, but there comes a point where you've got to focus on the real stuff. Danny in the house, how you doing, mate? He says Spurs won't get Maddison or Barnes, and Kane will stay 1 more year because Levy won't let him leave. Yeah, look, I look at the Maddison and Barnes thing. I kind of think to myself, look, Barnes is a player in there. Maddison's been linked to Spurs so long now, and it's never really happened. It's kind of hard for Spurs to know who to buy right now, because you don't know who your manager is going to be, because you don't know who your director of football is going to be. So it's really hard to kind of take Spurs links seriously. Man United are going for a takeover, but both the potential new buyers have said we're not going to make any massive changes to the football decision makers, the transfer policies, the management. So business as usual. So you can kind of plan and work still. Tottenham's situation is very, very strange. And on the Kane, look, he could definitely stay for another year. Logically speaking, it's a dumb move to keep him for 1 more year. Yes, you stop Man United or Chelsea from getting him and him having a great year, but he leaves a year later and does it anyway, and you get no money in for him. And yeah, I mean, hindsight's lucrative, as I always say. Kane should have been sold by Tottenham 4 or 5 years ago. You'd have got 150 to 200 million pound for him, and you should have invested that properly. But let's see what happens. It's going to be an interesting summer. There was a time where everybody thought he would leave, and he stayed. Maybe this time round we think he's going to stay, and he ends up going. But it's going to be very, very difficult to deal with Levy. I totally agree with that. Keep more fan trophy. We don't care, is what King says. Jamie says, I want Ramos. That Diego Costa, Kim Min-jae, and some miracle Caicedo. Listen, that would be a great window. Terry, why do people praise Kane for his pointless goals that lead to 0 trophies? It's the same as saying Arsenal had a better season than United. So there is a fundamental difference here that you're ignoring, that Harry Kane's ability to score goals is a transferable skill. It's a skill that if you install it into Man United, you install it into Chelsea, you install it into Arsenal, they go up another level. Now, there are question marks over Harry Kane, though. Can he do it in title races? Can he start to deliver in major finals, major semi-finals? Those question marks remain irrespective of him leaving Tottenham. But Harry Kane's goals have been what has kept Spurs' head above water in recent years. You throw him into a better team, better club, more ambition, better players around him, you could see that team get over the line and win some major trophies. So you can praise someone's ability and their transferable skills. But when I look at how I rate players by the end of their careers, I look at the holy quad: ability, outputs and consistency, longevity and trophies. He's got 3 of the 4. He just doesn't have the trophies. And why the trophies matter, and again, what people often do is they do the straw man argument of, oh, Luke Chadwick's got trophies, he ain't better than Gerrard. You know, Anderson's got trophies, he's not better than KDB. No one's suggesting that, but we're looking at Harry Kane, one of the best goal scorers in the world, one of the best strikers in the world, looking at it from the perspective of how does he cope in high pressure situations, in title runnings? We don't know. He's only been in one. We need to see him in more. You put him in those environments and he scores in them and he wins in them. Suddenly he's looked at as one of the best strikers that Britain has ever produced. So yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think there's nuance to it, in my opinion. What do I think of Gnonto? Highly talented, but very raw. Needs the right manager around him. Don's with us now. Don's a Chelsea fan. What you saying, mate?
What's going on, bro? What's happening, Terry, man?
Yeah, I'm good. You're linked with Osimhen today. The Guardian claim you're ready to bid and try and buy him. What you saying?
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy with Osimhen. For me, I would have definitely preferred Tony, but obviously we know what's going on with him and the whole betting scandal. I don't think it's worth a risk to sign him, because a lot of Chelsea fans were saying, oh, let's just sign him, playing Cuckoo up top or Lukaku up top till January. But if you think about it, he's not going to be training. He might be doing some personal stuff, but we don't know what Tony's going to come back. That's basically going to be a whole season wasted. So I'd rather we get someone now like Osimhen, who's proven. Again, he's definitely someone that I would like at Chelsea, but I would prefer Tony. But if we get Osimhen in, I'm gassed either way, because I think with the quality of players that we're looking at and how we're looking to progress, and with Pochettino, I think he'll get on the end of a lot of chances. So I'll be happy with that signing, to be honest with you, Terry.
Look, I totally get that. I think sorry, Google Chrome is going crazy on me right now. I don't know what it's doing. It was glitching out, but I think it's back now. Yeah, look, I get what you mean with Tony. I don't even know if Tony's allowed to sign for other clubs, because they've said he's banned from all football activity. He can't even train. So transferring clubs is a football activity. Maybe you can't even do it. Maybe the ban extends that far. But yeah, like, Osimhen's a very good player. Very expensive though, because of how many goals he scored.
Yep.
Napoli are notorious when it comes to buying players from. So there is a big commitment there. But I think for yourselves, if you buy players like him, and Kunku's coming in, Ugarte, you get a new good goalkeeper, and you clear out all that trash. And I look at all the players on that chopping block, and that list got sent through to me last night that someone picked up and sent to me. And I think about some of them are highly talented, some of them are old. The only one on there I'm not good. There's 2 players on that list that I'm not going to call trash. They're just past it now, and that's Aspi and Kante. But the rest of them, Loftus-Cheek, Chalobah, Gallagher, Hudson-Odoi, Koulibaly, Ziyech, Pulisic, for one reason or another. Kovacic on the list, I don't think he's going to flop at your club. But the rest of them, they've all just been flops or nowhere near good enough, And you clear all of them players out. Start using the youngsters that you bought last summer and this January more regularly with a proper coach, and you add a bit more star quality. I honestly just don't see why. I just don't see why you can't have a very good season next year.
What it is, Terry, it's a lot of rivals just hoping. It's the hopeful talk, because they can see what we're doing and they've enjoyed their fun whilst they can. And I think they're just kicking us down whilst they can, because they know that we're going to bounce back as of next season. There's no way Pochettino is going to do any worse than what Graham Potter did and how Frank Lampard was. Like, realistically, if Poch came in after Potter was sacked, after Tuchel was sacked, he would have been ruthless. He would have said to Ziyech, he would have said to Pulisic, you guys are frozen out. You're not part of my plans. That's one thing I used to say about Potter all the time. This guy was not brave enough, Terry. Like, he literally had the keys to the yard. Bowley told him, literally, we believe in you. do what you need to do. And he still decided to keep playing players that just had no future here. So next season is going to be completely different from the manager. You've already seen what Sterling's come out and said. He pretty much said, I'm looking forward to working with a manager who is going to have a lot of respect. That's what we need, because a lot of these guys are delinquents. They're misbehaving. They need a head teacher there to pattern them up, literally. So next season is not going to be like it has been this season, because again, we're going to trim down the squad. Hopefully, Bowley's step back. We're going to get new players. We've got a proper manager now. Again, that question mark about him winning is we're yet to see it. But Poch is going to know that. He's going to want to prove a lot of people wrong. Do you know what I mean? He's going to want to prove a lot of people wrong. And I know people look at League On and they're like, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse league. But then again, if he didn't win the title there in his second season, it would have been, oh, he couldn't even win a title there. So at least now his actually experience winning. It's not the greatest league to win at, but he still had to do it. With egos such as Mbappe, with egos such as Neymar, you've got Messi there. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I just hope that they make sure that the environment that Poch is coming into is going to allow him to succeed and allow him to do well, because he is a good coach. But again, he needs that environment to be sorted out for him to actually do anything for us next season. So I'm optimistic, man. I'm optimistic.
That's very true. And if you can clear those players out, I mean, you're talking at raising 250 to 280 in terms of fees, plus clearing. And look, some of them are on big wages, and it may be hard to move them on. There's like Hudson-Odoi linked to Nottingham Forest. Now he's on 100. Now he's on 100 grand a week. However, look, they were paying Jesse Lingard 100 grand a week, and he barely kicked the ball for them this season. So there's money there to do it. And I think Man United, for instance, we struggled to get rid of Ed Wood because Ed Woodward was a terrible negotiator. Him and his team were awful. Matt Judge, they always wanted extortionate amounts of money for players. It was very rarely the salary that was stopping players from leaving. We would just ask for dumb money for players that were not worth it. What you guys have got to do is be smart and go, right, we know he's only worth 10 million, but we're not going to try and hang out for 25 million. Then people say no. Does that make sense? And you need to let them go. There was a moment that happened under Ollie about halfway through where our sub goalkeeper Romero wanted to leave. The club said yes, and then in the end they didn't let him. And it caused friction in the dressing room because his teammates and his friends were like, hang on a minute, you promised him a move away and you didn't give it to him because you wanted up to 70% of his wages paid and they only offered 60%. But for that sake of 10%, you've disgruntled him and you've upset and annoyed a lot of your dressing room because, and this is what will happen if too many of your players stay. Their friends in the dressing room will be annoyed for them when they're not playing because it creates a bad environment, and whatever else. But look, I think it's going to be a very interesting summer for you indeed. Don, always a pleasure speaking, bro. We'll talk again soon. Top man.
Cool, bro.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. There's a super chat here that says, Terry, if Mason and Harriet do an interview upon Mason's return that explains their side of the story, would you change your mind? The story, the story would have to change my mind. It depends what they say. It's one of those real difficult ones for me. I need to see it. I need to understand it. I need to look at what they're doing. I need to know what went on. I've always said before, I want more detail, but probably not, unless we learn loads of things that none of us knew, and it changes the circumstance and the scenario. But yeah, I'd have to hear it first, my friend. Question, Terry, do you think for how good Kane is, he can't handle big pressure moments because he is at Spurs? Maybe if he goes to a club who wants to win, maybe he would learn to handle pressure. Robin van Persie was part of an Arsenal team that bottled everything. Yes, he was in the squad that won the FA Cup in 2005, but I don't even know if he came on the pitch. He was definitely starting on the bench that day. I believe. If I'm wrong, somebody school me on that. But he was part of failure after failure after failure after failure. Moved to Man United, best striker in the league in the year that we win the Premier League at a canter, by the way. So we've seen in the past a player go from being called, a bottler, part of like a team that bottles things and doesn't have any star quality, blah, 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 to delivering at Man United as an example. And there's probably, if I haven't researched this, so if, for instance, we were to, go back through, we would go back through history and start researching, you probably find a number of players that failed to win, moved to a big club and started winning, as an example, because that's just the way it goes. I'm just actually checking the FA Cup final. Did he Did he play? Did he start in the final? I don't know. I need to go and check. I'm just clicking on it now. Just want to know now. Team selections. Why doesn't it? There we go. Here we go. No, he was on the bench. He came on in the 86th minute of the game. There we go. RVP wasn't playing against Pep's Man City. Okay, great. So what that means is we're going to write off all quality players and all brilliant teams before Pep. Football, you're going to wipe all of football's history away because Pep weren't around. Like, deep what you're saying for a moment. Deep what you're saying for a moment. It's one of those things where it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It's like no boxer before or after Muhammad Ali gets any credit of being world class. Rocky Marciano doesn't get any credit because I don't think him and Ali's eras overlapped, or they weren't at the same time. That makes sense. Mike Tyson isn't great as a boxer because he didn't fight against Muhammad Ali. Come on now, like, stop this nonsense. Where do people learn this stuff? Your dad probably. I'll give you another example of a player. And I wanted to double check this, but I knew it was right. Teddy Sheringham. Teddy Sheringham didn't win a bean at the highest level. He won like the second division with Millwall, and he won the full members cup in 1992 with Forest. I don't even know what that is. It doesn't exist anymore. But the man didn't win anything until he came to Man United, and then he was pivotal in a treble-winning season and did a three-peat as one of our main attackers and strikers. And one of those years won the Golden Boot. So Man United, in my experience, have two strikers that have been part of bottle job teams and never won anything. They came to Man United and they delivered. So I don't think, again, the footballing ability is transferable. There is still a question mark over him, but do I think he can win trophies at Man United? Look, Weghorst has won trophies of Man United. So I certainly think that he can. Listen, everyone that's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Hit the like and the share button before you go. We are going to do a number of these a week over the course of the transfer window. Take your calls, get your opinions. And, I'm also going to tell you as well, scouting for some new talent for our match reaction shows and top 6 shows for next season as well. So get your cameras turned on, get your microphones and your earphones out, and come and have a chat with us on these shows. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.